Wow. Look at you. Hey, good night, good evening, everyone. Sitting next to me, Simone Biles, 19 years old, having the best year ever. I bet every one of us was glued to the television this past summer, watching the Olympics, watching Rio, and almost everyone was tuning in exclusively to watch you do what you do so brilliantly. But I came away asking myself one question, which was, how many medals is enough? When are you just like, yeah, I got enough of those? And where do you keep them?
I currently keep all of my medals in a safe. Yeah.
Really?
Yes. They're precious.
They are precious. They are precious. I was telling her earlier in the green room, I've been living in like a deep Simone hole over the last couple weeks. Watching every single video, reading this incredible book, which I know a lot of you have already picked up, and the rest of you will as soon as the talk is over. Because if you're already a fan of Simone, or you're even new coming to her, there is so much beneath the surface that we've all already gotten a chance to see. But I think one of the funny things that I was watching was that Vogue video that you did, the 73 questions, which I thought was so cute. And they were like, what does gold taste like? And you're literally like, well, let me see. And she pulls out her giant pizza necklace, and it was perfect. And I guess it tasted pretty good.
Yes.
Winning tastes good. So who is it that keeps you grounded?
Definitely both of my parents. They keep me very grounded all the time, so I'm very humble.
Yeah, no, it seems that way. And I think, you're 19 and you've had, I think about myself at 19, and I know there are lots of people who haven't hit 19 in here yet, but I also know there are a number of you chaperoning who have. And if you think back to yourself at this age, it's a fraught one. Like, I think you're still figuring out who you are, and at the same time, the world already has a version of you that they think they know.
Yes.
So when you're writing your autobiography at 19, like, are you trying to give people a different side of you? Are you trying to learn about yourself? Like, what was the reason for writing Courage to Soar?
Well, most of my audience or younger fans didn't know my upbringing, so I thought I would share that little part, because most of them think it's like a smooth ride all the way to success, but sometimes there are bumps in the road.
Yeah. Well, talk a little bit about that, because I admit I wasn't familiar with, and it's funny because in a weird way, you don't frame your upbringing or the challenges that your upbringing faced as a downside or as something that was like, and it was something to overcome, certainly, but I think you have managed to take these struggles and these setbacks, and they're unique to you, and make them your unique strength. So tell people who might not know a little bit about your background and your story.
Yes. So I kind of use it to, as a positive, because it's because of the woman I am today, but also whenever I was younger, at 3 years old, I was put in foster care and everything. Me, my sister, and then my older siblings, we were all put in foster care, and then my grandparents, who are now my parents, adopted me and my sister. We moved to Texas, and then that's just a little bit about my younger life that they didn't know.
Yeah, it's you say, and things like that you and your three siblings were in foster care, and the transition to moving in with your grandparents, who now your parents, they adopted you, and feeling uncertain at that time. I mean, you were 3. Yes. Like you had no. It's so funny because listening to you talk about yourself at that age, in a funny way, you already had the determination that you have now, and the self-possession that you have now. Because it's so interesting. There was never any moment of self-pity in here. There was never any moment of like, oh, this is my cross to bear. And I think for so many of us, there are those things that feel like a setback. There are those things that feel like a struggle. And our challenge is to turn those things into what drives us and what motivates us. And I think one of the first things anyone in here would say about you is that you're always smiling and you're like so much energy. And I think that's probably what got you through. Like, how did you cope with those moments when it had to have felt disorienting and crazy and hard?
I don't think I dealt with them in a negative way, because I was always smiling as a kid. My parents couldn't get me to stop smiling. I was always smiling. My dad told me even on the plane ride from Columbus, where I was born and grew up a little bit before I got adopted, on the plane ride to Texas, I was just sitting there like this. Oh. And he's like, what is wrong with her? He's like, is she ever gonna stop smiling?
And the answer is no. But I think that's, I don't think it's forced. Like, I feel like you actually have that level of optimism and that feeling like, no, I have this. Like, I've got this handled. Like, you're the real Olivia Pope. You've just got it handled, and it's okay. And I think that's really inspiring for a lot of people older than you who still don't feel that way in their lives, and things hit them in the face, and they're like, how do I deal with this? And for you, I think you really let it fuel you and drive you forward. And I wonder now, I'm going to talk a little bit about well, we can talk about it now. Gymnasts, like ballerinas, make everything look easy. It's your job to make it look effortless. But you, at 19, have a move named after you, a routine named after you, the Biles, and it's like basically impossible. So when you and your, was it you and your team coordinator who came up with that move, or like how did that move develop? And tell everyone what it is, because I learned all about the physics of it from some of the videos I was watching. I'm not going to show you my Biles because I would kill myself.
So me and one of my former coaches got the idea of it because one day I was doing, if you watch my Olympic routine, my very first pass, that's what I was doing in practice. And one day I landed a little bit short, and I was like, ugh, my calf is really hurting, and it kind of hurt for a while. So I went to the doctor, and they said I partially tore my calf muscle just a little bit. So he's like, well, if you do one less of a half twist and you land forward, it's a double a half. So I'll flip twice in the air and do a half turn. If you watch my Olympic routine, it's my second pass. You could get it named after you, and nobody's ever done it before. So that's how it came about. And you have to compete it at a World or an Olympic Games to get it named after you if you're the first person to try it. And you have to land it, obviously.
Wait, but when you hear, like, nobody has ever done this before, aren't you like, well, maybe that's for a reason?
At first, I was very nervous because I feel like I'm a visual learner. If you tell me to do a skill, I'm like, okay, can I see a video? So I kind of get the idea. But for that skill, there was like, I couldn't YouTube it.
There was no video.
There was no video. And I was like, so when do you want me to turn? He's like, turn when I say go. And I'm like in the air waiting for him to say go. And I hear go, and I'm like, turn. But I soon found out when to turn, how to turn. And it became easier. But at first, whenever we took it to camp to show Marta Crowley, the national team coordinator, she was like, absolutely not. You're not doing it, because nobody had ever done it. She was a little nervous that I would fall, but I landed it 98, 99% of the time, and she's like, okay, you can do it.
Wait, so when you don't land it, does that mean like you fall?
Yeah.
Isn't that scary? Like, how do you catch yourself? What do you do?
Usually I just like go to my butt.
Okay.
Like slam.
Good, cushions. I have plenty of solid cushion there. So just because I imagine the fanatics out there as well would want to know this. Walk us through like the first night you were at the Olympics. Like, what did you do when you got there? What, were you listening to specific music? Did you eat something special? Like, how did you prep up? And then when you're walking onto stage, what are you telling yourself?
Well, we went to the Olympics like 2.5 weeks before we actually competed.
Okay. To get acclimated.
Yes, but as soon as we saw the village, we were all like, oh my gosh. We like couldn't even believe it. We wanted to run around like wild turkeys.
Yes.
Which of course we weren't allowed.
What? What, do they lock you in your room?
Practically. We have a job. We have to concentrate.
What about all like the cutie Brazilian boys and everything?
Save it for later. But so we were like, we had training that day actually. So we flew from Houston to Brazil. It was like 10 hours, and then we go off to training. It was great.
Oh my gosh. It's amazing. Yeah, I mean, at least you do catch up on that.
Yes.
You're back to your rhythm. You know what you're doing. But like, tell me about the pump up routine. So you and how many girls are on your immediate team? Are there 5?
Yes.
5 of you.
Yes.
And are they? I mean, they're, I would imagine at this point, extended family for you. Like,
yes, we're like sisters. We've spent so much time together because also whenever, okay, so the Olympic team is made of the 5 girls, but they only ever show us whenever we compete. But I think people don't realize for the past 4 or 5 years, we've been going to camps every single month for 5 days with each other. So people are like, do they really like each other? Like, yes, we really do like each other.
And is there like, does everyone, I know, okay, so in the book, you talk about your love of the Cheetah Girls, and you talk about like that was where you started your zebra print affection, which I love, and I think is hysterical. But I feel like, you know, every friend group has like this, you know, someone who's the mother hen and someone who's the baby girl, and, you know, what's your role? Are you the?
Yeah, I'm kind of like the hype girl.
Oh, nice. You're the amp up.
Yes.
Okay, good. Somehow I don't find that too hard to imagine. And do you have like any good luck charms or things that do you care about? Are you superstitious at all?
I'm not superstitious because it's kind of hard traveling all over the country and be superstitious. Like, what if I need a pair and I can't get a pair? Then that's a problem. Oh. So I'm not very superstitious.
Wait, I love that, like a pear. Not like a roll of cookie dough or like, you know, a bag of chips. No, a pear. That's funny. No, that's fair. Maybe a rabbit's foot would be easier to come along with. So going back to the routine and going back to finding excellence, I think that's something that all of us at every stage of life are, you know, and it can change. I mean, I would love to have this conversation again when you're 49 and see the challenges that you face then and the things that you think are, you know, are what you pursue excellence in then. But doing it now, doing it at this level, on this stage, at this age, what is the negative talk that you hear in your head sometimes, and how do you overcome it?
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest. Most of the negative talk in my head is like, Simone, you're gonna die. Like, if you try this routine, you're gonna die. That's sometimes what I tell myself. I'm like, just try not to die on this turn. Like, you're gonna make it, you're gonna be fine, it's gonna be okay. So then I look at the positive and I'm like, okay, I've done this so many times, you're not gonna die. There's no way you can die.
You're Simone Biles, you can't die.
Yeah, and so many people tell me like, I'm immortal, so I'm like, there's no way. There's no way.
But I mean, you can fly, so you probably could also be immortal. You had a moment that you talk about in the book, I think it was 2011, where where Marto had wanted you to try something that you didn't think you were ready for. Tell me,
I would have died.
Again? What's the name again?
A 2.5.
A 2.5
yes.
that you would have died
so
on.
An Amanar.
An Amanar, okay.
Yes.
And that's named after someone who did that for the first time?
Yes,
okay.
Simone Amanar, yes.
I'm an idiot, okay. And she thought you were ready. And so the person who trains you every day, who talks to you every day, who watches you every day, who knows you in and out, and she thinks you're ready and you don't think you're ready. How do you have the confidence to resist that? And would you make a different decision knowing the outcome of that choice now?
No.
You'd make the same decision. You just weren't ready.
I would have died. No, so I really wasn't ready to try that move. I had only done it into like a foam or a resi. I've never done it onto competition surface, not even high. So like, say this is competition surface, I trained it down here.
Yeah.
So I had that much more to drop. So if I tried it in competition, I saw my knees blowing out. So I was like, I'm not gonna try it, I'm sorry. And he was pretty upset. My coach was like, he was very upset, and I didn't do the vault, and then I missed making national team by 1 placement, and he's like, if you would have done the vault, you would have made it. And I was like, well, you know, I probably could have died.
Or I would have been dead.
Yeah. I was like, I could have been in the hospital. So I made that decision at the end of the vault runway to not try it, but it made me work that much harder at that vault. And I think after that competition, because I was like, I've only done it like 3 times. I don't know where I am in the air. I would get lost because I would like spin out of control from getting lost. And I had a camp the next week with Marta and my coaches. And I was trying the vault that I competed, and I accidentally did the vault.
What she wanted?
What she wanted, on accident. In the air, I added an extra half twist, and I landed it perfectly. And they were so mad. They were like, what was that? And I was like, I don't know, I think I did it. And he goes, I was like, it was an accident. He goes, go down there and do an accident again. And ever since then, I've had the vault.
Yeah, you've been failing up. I definitely don't think it's been that. Is that the coach's job, though, to push you past what you're ready for? And is it your job to pull back? Like, what's that dynamic like?
It's a little bit of both. I think it's their job to push me, but not in a competition setting. So that's whenever I pulled back, because most of the time in practice, I'm the one pushing, and my coach is like, don't try that, don't try that. I'm like, why not? Like, it'll be fun.
Right. I feel like you're fearless.
Yes.
How are you they're getting ready to ask questions. How are you not afraid? Like, how does that, and how do you not get stressed out? I mean.
Well, there are pits and there are hospitals. So I figure they'll put me back together.
Oh my gosh, that's really funny.
But like, there's only like one skill my coach wouldn't let me try, and I have still yet to try it because she will not let me.
What is it?
I want to try a triple layout. That's really never been done.
So that's you lying flat.
Three times. Yeah, I do 2 in my routine and add twists to it, but I just always wanted to try 3, and she's like, absolutely not. I will not be in the gym if you ever try this.
Now, is that because, I mean, I feel like you get height. I mean, do you get like double your own height lift off of the ground?
Yes, so I probably go about 10 feet.
And do you need more height than that to clear 3 turns, or?
I mean, I'd be in the pit, so it wouldn't matter if I land on my head because it's free foam. I'll just land like with my head up and my feet up. I mean, it's not that bad, but.
You got to do it.
I know,
But you didn't hear that here.
I want to try it.
I have faith in you. I really. So, speaking of which, actually, I think, you know, I grew up going to church on Sundays. I grew up feeling like there was always a very spiritual side of how I was brought up, and it was actually very reassuring to me that there was, it didn't take any power away from me. Like, obviously, you still have free will. You still have to put in the hard work. You're still responsible for yourself. But it was very reassuring to hear and in my family to feel like there was some kind of divine providence or some kind of destiny, and that God makes no mistakes.
Yes.
And I think part of what I loved so much about reading this book is even people who are fanatics of yours and who know everything they think they already could possibly know about you, there's so much to learn and so many layers, like an onion, like Shrek, to learn about you. And one of the ones I found most fascinating, in addition to you talking about the struggles that you've had and the perceived negatives that you turn into positives, has been your faith. Like, talk about growing up with that and what that's meant to you.
Well, I have always believed everything happens for a reason. God put this in my life because he needed for it to happen. And it's not my day and age right now to understand it. Maybe later on in life I'll understand the choices he made. So that's what I kind of believe. But I've always grown up going to church with my mom. Me and my sister were the ones going to church in matching outfits, and even in the little hats back in the day. I know I'm not that old, but like, there used to be hats attached to your dresses.
Oh,
if you bought a set, a hat would come on it, and me and my sister would wear them all the time.
So cute. You were blue, she was pink.
No, the same color sometimes.
Oh.
Yes. And I would always go to CCE on Wednesday, so I'd miss a little bit of practice. And then I would also, in my high school years, I would miss gym again and go to faith formation. Mm-hmm. So faith has always been a part of my life, and I know I can look to God if I'm having any problems, pray to him at any time, and like, you could not even tell when I'm praying, so I think that's good.
It's comforting, and it's, you know, I think it also gives you put yourself out there in a physical and an emotional way every day, yes. And it gives you a foundation to spring from, which I think is amazing. You were talking about your high school experience, and arguably you have had a very different high school experience than I think most people have. Do you feel like you've missed out on anything? Do you think you've had it better than you would have had it?
I do feel like at some times, well, I did in my high school years, I felt like I was missing like homecoming, school dances, football games, and like a classroom setting and all that stuff. But then representing my country, I can't really compare the two, because not a lot of kids can say, oh, I'm going to Italy, I have an assignment for my country, like, let's go. And that was always me, so I kind of compared the two, and I'm like, okay, it's okay.
No, yeah, totally. But I think you've had almost an adult existence, but still with the fun of being a kid in it as well. Would you think that when you were picturing yourself being a cheetah girl back at 8 in your fort in spring, is this better?
Definitely.
Yeah. What would you say to the kids out there now who are staring down the tunnel? I know you started when you were 6, which you actually said was like late sort of for people to start gymnastics in a serious capacity. But parents out there who are staring down the barrel of driving kids to practice every day for the next 10 years, and kids who are staring down the barrel of all the hard work that it takes. What would you say, like, how do you push through the hard times, and how would you describe that dedication that you have?
I would just say to stay focused, make sure you're having fun, make sure no one else is pulling you or forcing you to do what you love. So find your own passion. Don't let, I know, sorry parents, but don't let your parents say you need to do this.
Right.
If you don't have a passion for it anymore, it's okay to move on. And I think that's what my parents learned at a very young age. It's always been my choice, and that's why I've been so successful, because they've never forced me to go to the gym. Even when I was sick, I was like, can I please go? And they're like, no, you're sick. And I'm like, I don't understand. So it's always been my choice, and I've always written down my goals at the beginning of the year, so I always have something to work towards. So I think that was super helpful as well.
You've never gotten tired of it? You've never been like
No.
over it?
We had like bunk-ins at the gym, still didn't want to leave in the morning. We just like never get tired of it.
Just like you never get tired of Zac Efron. So I watched you get surprised with him at the Olympics, which was awesome. Thank you, Hoda. That was amazing.
I love her.
Was he as good in real life as you thought he was going to be?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. I couldn't believe he was standing in the same room as me. I was like too scared to get close to him. If you watch the video, I keep backing up.
You do. You like turn around. You're like, he's not here. He's not here.
Well, that part I thought I was going to cry, but then they were like, Simone, come on, get close to him. And I'm like, ah. I didn't want to get too close. I was scared.
What'd you guys talk about?
Now that I think of it, I don't know. He said he watched us, and he was actually going to come to the meet to surprise us. But, like, I don't know if I would have done that well.
Oh, my gosh, no.
I would have, like, passed out, not been able to compete. So, I don't know. He was very genuine talking about, like, our diet and how exciting the Olympics were and if we were going to go to any other events. So, he was very super sweet.
That's nice. It's always funny when you meet like an idol or someone who you've watched from a distance for a long time, and then to see them in person, it's interesting. We need to talk about your mannequin challenge that went viral this week.
Yes.
Did you guys all see that? Did you? It's so good. I mean, obviously, as it would be, since you guys are professional at holding a move. But who choreographed that? How did you come up with it?
Well, actually, I think the one that we posted was the second one we did, because in the first one, I was at the end, just like this one, and it got to me, and I started cracking up. I couldn't,
it's ridiculous.
I don't know what happened. I just couldn't stop laughing. So the second one we did, the whole entire cast has been wanting to do it for a while, but every time we come in, some people go to sleep, some people go do this, or some people go to practice. So we're like, okay, we're doing it now. Let's get everybody before the audience comes in. So we finally gathered everybody, and we all did it, so we were excited about it.
Is that how, what do you guys do to relax, or what do you do to relax?
I go hang out with friends, family, sometimes go to the pool, play with my dogs, or I just watch Netflix and lay in bed.
Nice. You Netflix and chill?
Yes, by myself.
By myself?
By myself.
Speaking of which, have you had any good dating experiences you want to talk about? A first date that you want to share with the audience?
I've never really been on a proper date.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that because you think
I'm too busy?
You're too busy. You don't have any time.
Yeah.
But are there people that maybe you'd think about going on a date with if they asked you?
But some of them are unrealistic.
You know, I'm gonna say if you said their names out loud, they probably would come through for this. Yeah, but you're right. It does. I mean, you'd have to either find someone on your team or would you ever date another gymnast? Is that good for you or bad for you?
It would be good because they understand, but I don't even know anymore. Boys.
It's good to know you feel that way too.
Right now, yeah. But my 8-ball said I was gonna get a boyfriend in 2017. So I'm pretty excited. Yeah, I shook an 8-ball yesterday.
Do you ever do a palm? Oh my God, you have to. I mean, you've traveled the world. Have you ever just been that tourist that's oh, a palm reader, I'm going? My
mom did a palm reading and everything came true. So siblings in the family are too scared to try one.
You're terrified.
Terrified.
Yeah, I feel like if someone told me my future, I would have a hard time acting normally. I'd just start directing towards what they said. Guilty pleasure food, go.
Pizza, brownie, cookies, ice cream. Was that too much?
Oh, those are mine too.
Okay.
Good. I know what we're doing later. Fuel up food.
Salmon, chicken, rice, egg whites.
What do you do on the road? Who cooks for you? Do you cook for yourself or you?
On the road, whenever we're on assignments, we usually have Marta go to go talk to the kitchen.
Yeah.
And so they'll have all healthy meals planned for us throughout the week.
Good stuff. So let's talk about being a woman and being in the field that you're in, where being as strong as you are and as powerful as you are, I think it's like a newfound thing that women could, it's so, again, like in my deep Simone hole that I've been in, I was also watching like old gymnastics routines. And I kid you not, like it used to be, men were allowed to do the uneven bars and like their whole routine, and women literally did basically synchronized swimming on land. Like they, danced around each other. It was so crazy. And I think your kind of explosive power and being better than the guys at like a lot of moves that it used to be only guys could do. What does that feel like? I mean, do you feel like you're...
I mean, I guess it feels pretty good because I see their routines and I just like, But
you're like, I can do that better?
Yeah, but I mean, everyone is born with different talents, so you just have to work with what God gave you. And I was very blessed to be able to do the difficulty I do in my routines. But I don't know, it's kind of fun, like twisting your body, flipping your body in the air. It's different art.
Well, it is, and it's also, it's funny, athletes have such an intimate knowledge of their own bodies. Like you work your height into your routine, you work your power into your routine. Like they were saying that you need less run to be able to do your lift off so that you have more space on the other side to land it. And those are things that it had to, when you realize that, it had to feel like such a gift that you were just given this opportunity to blow it out. Do you feel like people, though, do you feel like there have been negative comments about you being, a woman and doing the things that you do, or about you being African American doing the things that you do? Like, are there moments where you feel like you're confronted with challenges that you didn't anticipate?
No, not necessarily, because I usually have like medals to back it up.
Yeah, you're like, dude.
So I can't say anything.
Check the safe. No, for real though. But you have to realize that you are breaking boundaries everywhere.
Thank you.
And it is, I was telling you backstage that I lost 40 pounds in college. And it was one of those moments for me where I felt like I could have seen that weight loss and that struggle as a cross to bear. And instead it became the thing that felt, that it created my whole career, because learning about health and wellness and learning about nutrition and losing the weight and doing it in a healthy way, like that is what gave me what I do now. And I feel like for you too, the things that you've allowed to craft and create your strengths are what set you apart in the biggest way imaginable. So your best friends are still the girls that you grew up with, you said, and your sister.
Yes.
And do they, when they look at you now, are they kind of still bust your chops? They kind of still feel like you're Simone from the block? Like you're like,
No, I'm just still Simone to them, which is really good to have because I've grown up with them, so it's good that they haven't changed. You're like, my cousin, I love her to death, but ever since she found out I won worlds and stuff like that and watched me, every time she comes around me, it's Simone. I'm like, Alyssa, I used to change your diapers when you were younger. Like, a month ago, you were just all over me, and now she's scared to touch me. Like, she's scared to be in my presence. She'll run and hide, and I'm like, come on.
oh.
She, like, thinks of me as a celebrity now, and it's super cute, because she's, like, 10.
No, it's cute.
But I'm just like, come on, Alyssa.
But they still make you wash dishes at home? They still make you, like, help out around the house and do your normal chores and everything?
Unfortunately. Yeah, but now I try to pull it on my sister. Adria, I've been traveling all day. I'm so tired. You're going to have to do it again.
So she's in high school now. She's a high school senior?
Yes.
Or, okay, and do you, like, compare notes with her, what she's up to, what she's doing?
Not necessarily. Like, she had a boyfriend the other day, and like a couple months ago, and it really freaked me out. I'm like, no, you can't have one.
Wait, why? Because you're super protective of her.
Yes.
But why? Did you not approve of him? What was the deal?
No, he was super sweet. I got to meet him and everything. But she's my little sister. Like, nothing can happen to her. She's so cute. Like, she's not allowed to have a boyfriend. She's not allowed to do a lot of things, even if I do them. She's just not allowed to do them.
You're the dad?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, okay.
Like, even the other day, I texted her about school, and I was like, you need to turn in your papers. I was like her mom.
I love that you're balancing her schedule and your schedule.
Yes.
So she started off doing gymnastics with you, though, I feel like, and then it wasn't for her. And your parents didn't push her to keep going with it, to your point of...
A little bit, but then she quit, so it's fine.
What did she find instead?
Well, in the very beginning, whenever we started out together, she didn't want to do it because she's like, I don't want to do what Simone does. And then she's like, okay, I want to try gymnastics. And then we pulled her out because she wouldn't do anything because the audience, the people upstairs in the viewing area were looking at her. She's like, they're looking at me. So we pulled her out. She wanted to join again, and she did. And then I feel really bad for her because she's 17 now, but whenever she's 15, 16, 17, she quit recently. But she didn't like that everyone compared her to me.
Right.
And so she would go to meets, and everyone was terrified of her. So Adria's here. That's Simone's sister. She's gonna beat us all. So she was terrified. So she quit because she's like, no, I want to be my own person. Then she tried trampoline and tumbling, and her thought literally, she told me, I'm gonna die on the trampoline. So she quit. Now she coaches.
You guys need to go to the psychic who's gonna tell you you're not gonna die during gymnastics.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I think any sibling can feel that way of like,
Yeah.
I want my own path so that I'm not constantly being compared to. But speaking of the spotlight, I feel like thrive in it. Do you like when people are watching you? Do you feel like, are you actually a shy introvert who just came out of your shell?
I have a very good personality to be in the limelight, but then I kind of don't like it as much because it's like all your privacy is kind of taken away, and it's just like, I just feel normal. I said earlier in an interview, I don't understand why people praise me so much because I know I'm a little bit younger and I reached my goals like recently, but it's just like my brother, he's been working at this one job and he just really wanted to get a promotion for a couple years. Well, he finally got it last week. Why isn't he all over the news in the world? Like, he achieved his goal, I achieved my goal. I don't get why it's plastered everywhere and why people are like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, I think
it's the same thing.
It's not the same.
Yes, he had a goal. No, yes it is. He had a goal, he achieved it. I had a goal, I achieved it. To me,
yeah, but your goal defies gravity and like basic laws of physics. It's like, I'm proud of your brother, and I think that that's huge. And yes, like we should all be much more excited for ourselves and for each other when we reach goals, and especially ones that you take years and years to work towards.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that I love most about this book is people look at you and they do see the veneer of like, everything's been perfect and look how successful she is, and it probably wasn't hard at all. And I think that's what people are acknowledging you for, is that at this young age that you've had the determination and the perseverance that you've had and the willingness to push through like broken bones and sprained ankles and, and falling on your head and fear of death and like all these things that, that would stop a lot of people and that haven't stopped you. You're 19. You have already, like I said, how many medals are enough? But like when you go to your next meet, are you truly just competing with yourself at that point? Are you just trying to push yourself to be better?
I've always felt that way. Anytime I walk into a meet, you are competing against yourself. You're kind of showing off to the crowd how much you've worked that whole entire year. And it's kind of a reward. They get to see what you've been working on all year long. And I think that's the exciting part about competition because no one sees what happens in the underwork. They only see you at this one point. So I don't know, I just feel that's special.
Every day's a final exam, or every day anyone else evaluates you on, it's a final exam.
Yes.
What's the most normal thing you do?
The most normal thing I do? I think I do a lot of normal things.
Like, what's the thing people will be surprised that it's just like stars, they're just like us. What would be your picture in that magazine?
Probably always taking selfies on Snapchat, like crazy faces, crazy filters, all the time.
My phone is dead, which I can't even talk about my phone being dead right now. It makes me so mad because we had a perfect selfie planned and it didn't happen. What's the most abnormal thing that you do?
I randomly dance in public when no one's watching.
When does that happen?
Like if I'm in a grocery store and I'm in an aisle and somebody's like walking by, I'll randomly start dancing and then I'll stop. And my sister's like, you can't do that. And I was like, why not?
You dance bomb people at the supermarket?
Well, like anywhere. I'll be in a mall too. It's just like, you usually never catch it. My sister's always watching me, but I'll do like crazy things and like make faces and my sister gets so irritated. But I think that's why I enjoy it more because it embarrasses her more than it embarrasses me.
Yes. Yeah, no, I know. I know the feeling.
She's like, you can't do that. It's not normal.
I'm like, look, I just did.
Yeah.
I just did that. Do you still drive, let me get this right, a turquoise car with a zebra striped interior?
I do not.
What car do you have a Ferrari now? What do you drive?
No.
What does Simone Biles drive?
I drive a Cadillac CTS coupe.
Are you a
It's
speed
black.
demon?
I wouldn't say I'm a speed demon, but the police would say otherwise.
It's so funny. It's so funny meeting you today because I feel like I was reading this book and you were describing yourself being this 3-year-old terror. I have a 2.5-year-old of my own, and she will never sit down. If there's a moment to stand, she'll be standing, jumping, running. Like anywhere she has to get to, it's best to sprint, obviously. And I wondered if like you would be like that in real life. And I got to the green room and you did not sit down the whole time we were there. You were like pacing around, like looking around, checking things out. I think in a funny way, gymnastics and the extreme physical output of the sport was like self-medication for you. Were you, like as a kid, did you just feel like there was too much to contain you that you had?
I was like a Tasmanian devil. It was like the energy was real.
Do you remember getting like a timeout ever, or just like being
all
told
the
to
time,
like sit
but I couldn't
still?
sit still in timeout. I always had to be doing something or like fiddling with my hands. They're like, no, I mean sit still. Or like my mom would add more time if I couldn't sit still.
Thank you. Your mom would add more time if you couldn't sit still?
Well, yeah, because it's supposed to be timeout, and I'm over here like smiling and timeout, and they're like, what is wrong with her?
You do rob your parents of the, oh, maybe I shouldn't say this since there might be people who get timeouts in here, but I will anyway. You rob your parents of the satisfaction of punishment when you're like, this is great.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, my mom, sometimes I still do it to her to this day. She'll like go to yell at me, and she's 4'11", I'm 4'8", so we're pretty similar in height. So I just look at her, and I start making these crazy faces, and she gets so mad, but she starts laughing. I'm like, that's what I thought. But it's just like, she's just so cute. She can't yell at me.
I know, I get it. I totally get it.
She would say otherwise, but.
If you weren't doing gymnastics, what would you be doing?
I think I would still be athletic. I would either try track, even though like apparently they're tall.
I feel like you've taken people on in sprinting competitions. Like, have you ever lost?
I mean, they're like 6 foot something, so I lose by just a tad. But like, I'm pretty fast.
I know. I know.
Fast.
I know. What will you do when you retire?
Oh goodness. Go to school. I wouldn't say go to school whenever I retire because I think I'll start school soon. I don't know. What will I do when I retire? Well, when I retire, I will tell you guys.
Okay.
I'm not sure yet.
You will be the first to know. You grew up in a big family and
Yeah.
a family of many different people being brought together. Yeah. Do you want kids?
I do want kids. Yeah. I really want twins. But like, you can't make that happen, but like, I'm gonna look at every secret formula to try to make that happen.
Wait, why? Why twins?
I don't know.
Just to have everyone have a partner?
It's
have a
like
buddy?
weird. They mirror themselves.
Would you clone Simone Biles if you could?
No. 2 Simones running around, 1 is enough. Like, I'm enough to handle myself. It's too much sometimes.
And where would be your favorite place in the world to live?
I really want to live in Hawaii. I think that'd be so cool.
I bet you'd be an amazing surfer. I feel like your balance
I would
is
hope
key.
so.
Yeah.
I want to try.
Are you afraid of anything? Are you afraid of like sharks or?
Bugs. I am afraid of sharks, but I actually really want to go swimming with sharks.
I get the impression that you run at your fears.
Sometimes I feel like that too.
Yeah. Like I bet I bet if someone like knocked in your brain when you were born and they were like, "What are you afraid of, Simone?" You'd be like, "I'm afraid of tumbling and jumping high and running really fast." And then it became your life.
Yeah, I feel like that too. Or if someone says, "Simone, don't do this," then I'm like, "Oh, well, why not?" I'm like, "Now I have to do it."
But you can't. It's funny. I think you have to do what you do at the level that you do it. You have to have a good amount of realism. Like you have to be able to look at something and be like, I'm not ready to do that.
Yes.
I can't take that chance right now.
Yes.
And you have to be playing for the long game also. You know, you hopefully have a long, long career ahead of you still, so you don't want to overextend at the outset and risk it. But I also feel like you specifically, you have to be the one to push and push and push because you're capable of so much. And that's got to feel like an incredible responsibility. Okay, so the audience had some amazing questions. So let's have some of these guys ask you, when did you know you had this ability?
I didn't figure out I had this ability or talent at a very later age. I was almost 15 because growing up I was super bouncy, super hyperactive, and everyone said, oh, you have this gift, you have this talent. But I just thought they were telling me because I was short and cute. And I was like, that's nice, but like I don't see it. I felt like I was any of the other girls on the competition floor, but I realized it at 15 years old.
What was it at 15 that triggered that?
I don't know. I kind of started looking at my competition. I was like, okay, I do this and they do that. I do this, and I was like, okay, maybe I am as good as them. And then I started competing internationally. And I was like, okay, maybe this wasn't an accident that I won this, because my first Worlds, I was super excited about, but I was like, man, maybe I just had a really good day. And then I started winning other meets, and I was like, man,
I got a lot of those.
Maybe I am really good at this.
You were onto something. How many hours a week do you do gymnastics?
I trained 32 hours a week, Monday through Saturday, and I had Sundays off.
What's your like muscle relax therapy? Do you take like Epsom salts bath?
Yes,
or?
all the time. I'm in there like watching Netflix with my computer like on the toilet, watching an episode to soak my body, and then I get out.
Do you do ice baths? I dated a guy in college. I did like sink in ice every day.
Sometimes. I don't really like them because for me, my body like does the opposite reaction of what it should. So I find heat works better for my body.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah.
Do you get massages a lot?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. What else do you enjoy that's not gymnastics?
I don't know. I enjoy like adrenaline things, but I'm not sure. I really want to go ice skating. I went indoor skydiving whenever I got home from the Olympics. I don't know. I enjoy just like being spontaneous and just like going to have fun.
What's the top thing on your bucket list, would you say?
Right now it's swim with sharks. I don't know why. I just really want to.
Something casual. Like
yeah. Or jump off, like cliff diving, like cliff jumping, not diving.
With like not bungee jumping, like actually soaring off of.
Yeah, but like the cliff doesn't have to be that high. It could be as high as the top of that thing, and I just jump off into the water, like flip. I think it'd be fun.
I would love to see you like go to a foreign country where this would have to be on another planet because it wouldn't exist on this planet, but where someone didn't know who you were, and just be like, I think I'm gonna like jump off this cliff and take like 12 tumbles as you go in. Just own it. What is your advice for gymnasts to focus on their own performance and not compare themselves to others? I feel like you actually talked about this. Like you when you watch your teammates perform, you are the first to cheer for people who do a great job.
Yes.
And even competitors, you recognize when hard work has paid off for people.
Yes.
So how do you not compare yourselves to others in a negative way?
To me, I don't compare myself to others or my performance versus theirs, because once you step out onto the competition floor, you can't control what your competitors are doing. Mm-hmm. So that's the answer itself. If you can't control it, then it doesn't make sense to why you have to watch and study them. So you have to focus on what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, because it's hard to take that into account though, where you don't control them, and
yeah.
it literally doesn't affect you one way or the other, except for possibly negatively if you let it get into your head. But I think it is one of those things where, especially when you start young, you've got to be looking around, and to your point of like, am I really better than these people, or am I just having a good day, or is it just luck?
Yes.
Do you chalk anything up to luck, or you think it's all hard work?
I think it's all hard work.
Yeah.
But I mean, in competition, I've looked at like. There is a Russian, Aliyah Mustafa, and I watch her swing bars, and I'm like, I really wish I could swing like her. So I'll watch her to like see if I can do anything to help me and see how she does it. But other than that, you just have to focus on what you're doing, because you can't control what your other competitors are doing.
Let's talk about, because there's obviously so many upsides, but let's talk about any sacrifices you see this life having brought for you.
Yes, that I've had to like give up.
Yeah,
sacrifice.
yeah.
I had to sacrifice public school. I had to sacrifice my NCAA eligibility. So now I can't compete in college gymnastics, which I really wish I could have, but I turned professional, so I made that decision myself at a very young age. My parents have had to sacrifice. Most of the time, people don't realize that it's not just me sacrificing. My parents have had to sacrifice time off of work to come watch my competitions, or get off early from work to take me to practice. So a ton of things.
Yeah. I feel like it is those unsung heroes but you know, to that point also, when you look at athletes who've had the kind of success that you've had, there are always people behind them who were supportive and made it possible, because you do have to start at a young age where it's not possible to do it all on your own. But I feel like your story is so unorthodox, and it's not the one of like the classic where this was always a clear option for you or always the clear objective for you. It was so interesting. Do you believe in serendipity, like that random day that it was raining so you couldn't go to the museum, so you guys decided to take a field trip to the gym where you first were exposed to gymnastics? Like, how do you feel about moments like that in your life?
I feel like, again, everything happens for a reason. So if it wasn't destined to be, then God will veer you in another path. And you might not understand it at the time, but you will further along your road in your career or life.
You said in the book that you felt like even if you'd stayed in Ohio with your birth mother, like you still would have found a way to get to gymnastics because it's what God had in mind for you.
Probably, but I probably wouldn't have found the talent that I do now because of the people surrounding me. But I hope so.
What's the best part about being an Olympian?
The best part about being an Olympian is, I don't know, maybe getting to write like Olympic rings everywhere. That's pretty cool.
I saw your signature back there. You're like,
yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. It was.
Yes.
Are you gonna get a tattoo anywhere?
I recently asked my mom on tour and she said no. So, I mean, I want one, but then again, I don't want to really tattoo my body. I just like, it was a spontaneous act in my head and I was like, let's get a tattoo. So I just have to think about things for like at least 6 months to decide if I still really want it.
I thought you were gonna say, I should think of a place where she wouldn't see it.
No, no, I think you'd be able to see it.
Would you get the rings?
Yes.
Interesting. So, is there a worst part about being recognized, about being like this well known on a global level?
Sometimes, like if I'm out to eat with my family, eating is kind of a problem because, like, I don't understand if I'm walking on the street, some people don't say, oh, hey, Simone, can I have a picture? Until I walk into the restaurant, sit down, and get my food.
And then they
attack me. I'm like,
you're like, I just want to eat
walking
my
on the
pizza when
street
it's
for
hot.
10 minutes. Yeah, but I mean, I understand. They just get super excited, so I don't mind taking the time out. But like eating with my family, I feel like that's a very special moment for all of us. But that's about the only thing.
This person asked, and it's really cute because you can see there's a little personal moment in it. He or she said, do you think your siblings are annoying sometimes?
Yes, I do. That's super cute. Yeah, sometimes my sister gets on my nerves. I used to circle my eyes like that too whenever I was younger.
The little bubble eye top?
Yeah.
Really cute.
Yeah. My siblings sometimes annoy me.
Well, because they know you from like forever, so they know how to push your buttons.
Yes.
But I also love that you talk about how protective you are of each other. Like I think initially you were each other's main family and the foundation and the strength, and I think you have that front in your head always. Yes. What's your next goal after your gymnastics career? We talked about you're going to let us know first.
Yes.
Are you planning to compete in the next Olympics?
Yes. 2020 is a bit of a stretch. We just finished this one.
Woo! I know.
So we just finished this one 3 months ago. So we have to celebrate that one first. 4 years is a long way away.
How do you pace yourself, like with 4 years to go?
Well, every year there's World Championships. So like World Championships is a mini Olympics. So we have that. So we'll see.
Okay. And what are you doing? You got tonight in New York City.
Yes.
Where don't tell everyone where you're eating because they're gonna go bomb you. What are you going to do with your night? Are you going to go get in your hotel bed and go to sleep? Or
yes.
That's your plan?
Yes, because I leave tomorrow very early to fly to LA.
To win an award.
Yeah.
This is one of Glamour's Women of the Year, ladies and gentlemen, which she won earlier in the week. And then tell everyone what you're going to win tomorrow in LA.
I do so much stuff. Let me guess. Young Women's Youth.
You'll tell us on Snapchat.
Yes, I will tell you on Snapchat.
Ladies and gentlemen, Simone will be signing copies of her book right outside of the auditorium. We're going to let her get wrapped up because she's exhausted. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.